going on, guys? So today we're talking about the random, really, really good cards that need to get hit on the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist. If you guys haven't already checked it out, I talked about archetype-specific cards that need to get hit. I talked about like Kashtira, Mathmech, was it Branded, Runic, Sprite, and then Nateria Sprite or Nateria Runic. I don't really think there are a lot of cards that need to get hit. I mentioned this in yesterday's video. I think it's going to be a small ban list. Usually Konami goes big ban list into small ban list and back into a big ban list. But without further ado, let's talk about archetype specific or non-archetype, specific cards that need to get hit. And out the gate, Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, the first card I wanted to talk about. And my thing is with Ash is, and I mentioned this when I talked about Fenrir in that video, so make sure you guys go ahead and check that out, because I might reference it a couple more times. Maxi got banned in the TCG, and it should be banned in Master Duel, because every deck was running it. And the thing is with Ash, that's the exact same case. In fact, Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs is the counter to Maxi. Like, Ash is such a generically good card, and the thing is, Ash is different. Like, Infinite Impermanence has this sort of impact as well, where it's good against every deck, but some decks it just ends the turn, right? But Ash, it feels like it has more decks that it's good against, and it ends more turns against more decks. So I genuinely think that Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs just going to 1 or even 2 could be actually really good. We have plenty of hand traps, but the thing is with Ghost Bell, Droll and Lockbird, Nibiru, even in Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler and DD Crow, cards that feel like they're good against every deck, they're not. But Ash is. Like, just take those decks I was just talking about. Kashtira, Mathmech, Runic, Sprite, Nateria, Branded. We know how good Ash is against Branded. It's really good against Nateria Blessing, obviously. It's pretty decent against Kashtira because of Unicorn, Fenrir, and Pressured Planet. You just kind of discard a card and then they continue on their plays, but it can still be used. It's really good against Mathmech. It's pretty decent, not like amazing, but okay against Runic and against Sprite. Like, it could be used against all of those. That's the thing. Like, Nibiru can't be used against all of those decks, right? Nibiru against maybe Nateria Runic, okay. Sprite Runic, maybe, but not really, right? And even Kashtira's been being able to play around Runic, right? So, or playing around Nibiru. So, I think Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs getting hit wouldn't be the worst thing ever. A lot of these cards are at 1. This is another card that's interesting. Purely is looking like it might be the next best deck of the format, which is insane. If you guys have been following this channel, I've mentioned on multiple occasions how I think the archetype's not very good. But with the new support, it could actually be the best deck, and Zeus would be the reason. Zeus is a fantastic card. It's generically really great, and I know there are so many archetypes like Super Quants, Constellars, Suttellers, Evil Swarm, I don't know, Go-Go-Go's, like a bunch of different random Xyz archetypes, like literally Zodiac, because it has no Barrage, no Broadbull, no Drident, or I think Barrage is at 1, something like that. Zodiac really is just Zeus Turbo. Like, Zodiac as a deck probably just doesn't even exist without Zeus. So maybe that's the reason why you keep it, but it's just the fact that it's not a hard once per turn. It's just such a good, well, its main effect, it's not a hard once per turn. It's just so good. It's so good. 3,000 attack and defense is actually really good. And the biggest thing with Zeus is it's probably like, it's really, really good in Zodiac, but I think the best it's ever going to have been is going to be in Purely. Like, Purely can literally get a 7 to 8 material Zeus. And I'm not joking either. And so that's why maybe preemptively hitting Zeus, just to sort of dodge that type of thing, wouldn't be the worst. Not this. I don't know if we're going to see Ling Garibo. Ling Garibo is interesting. I don't know if Ling Garibo's on here. If we see it, if we don't see it, I'll mention it. Dweller is interesting too. I'm not the biggest fan of like just generically really good cards, like cards that if you can make a rank 4, make Abyss Dweller. Like a Dweller is interesting. Allure of Darkness. When Allure of Darkness is good, Allure of Darkness is great, if that makes sense. Like there are certain formats where Allure of Darkness isn't insane, but like Allure of Darkness, when it can be good, like Tri-Brigade Mercurier, for example, it's an insane interaction. And you could argue that makes Allure of Darkness limitable. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna see another one. I think droplets are fine. Torrential is spicy. Torrential used to be at 1, and a lot of times you remember why. Baron de Fleur, that's another card I really wanted to talk about. I think that Baron de Fleur, even though it's a level, I think because it's a level 10, I think that's why Konami felt like it could make it really, really good. But it just feels like it's so easy to make. Like any deck that kind of synchro summons into Baron. And I understand like the actual Fleur archetype, like the Synchron Fleur archetype would be upset about losing Baron. Sword Soul obviously would be upset. But realistically, Baron is just in every deck that can make it. I know Kashtira doesn't really run it. I don't know if any of those decks, maybe Nataria can run it, but Super Heavy Samurai is going to run it, right? Dragon Link, to an extent, can run it, especially with like the Bastille stuff and Rocket Tracer. So I think like Baron, even though the Scythe interaction is gone, I think Baron potentially getting hit, I don't think is terrible. We talked about a lot of these cards. Underworld Goddess is interesting, but they haven't really ever hit Kaijus. So I don't really think they would hit a card like that. Totally Awesome, I talked about with the Sprite deck. Emergency Teleport, it's not like it is specific to an archetype, but it just feels like every time this card's been at 3, it's been a problem. And I'm really just looking for Lingaribo at this point. Because I don't think any of these cards that we're seeing, like DD Crow is fine, Sangan is fine. So we'll just go ahead and talk about Lingaribo. And we'll look at Link Karibo and say, it'll be its proxy. Lingaribo, just being able to counter trap cards. Denko Seka kind of does it as well. I thought the whole point of getting rid of Red Reboot was to help those out. And when we talk about trap cards, it does bring up an interesting point of like, should Rivalry be banned? Should Gozen Match be banned? Should Oasis of the Dragon Souls, I think is the name of that card, should that be banned? Should Summon Limit be banned? Etc. I don't think so. I think like when you look at a card like There Can Only Be One, it's really good against some, not really great against others. It's really good against There Can Only Be One is really good against Mathmech. It's not really good against Kashtira. It's actually, I think, bad against Branded. Like, I think Branded could run that card. Or like Rivalry, right? Rivalry is really good against Kashtira. It's not really good. It's okay against Kashtira. It's pretty solid against Branded. It's terrible against Cyber. So I think when it comes to Floodgates, I don't know if they need to get hit. Maybe Anti-Spell Fragrance, but other than that, but that's really it. Let me know what you guys think. What generic cards need to get hit or banned? Or like what cards have I missed, right? Because now I've talked about the archetype specific cards. I've talked about the generic cards. What cards do you think need to get banned or limited that I haven't said in these last 2 videos? Let me know in those comments down below. Make sure you guys click that like button, show your support for the channel. Subscribe because we will be talking about what cards need to come off the ban list. But most importantly of all, have a good day.